Hey everyone, it's Nolan here. Welcome back to a brand new video. I'm sorry I've been away for like a few weeks. I'm sorry about that. I was taking some time off, and mainly because my birthday and mental health reasons. But I'm back now, making videos again. Today's gonna be episode 1 or part 1 or whatever of the of the Call of Duty Timeline series. Part 1's, which is this video, is World War II. Part 2 is the Cold War, and part 3 is Modern Warfare. Let's just get right into the timeline video. So at the end of Black Ops 4, you know what happened. Primus and Ultimus collapsed the multiverse into the Dark Ether, leaving only one single universe left. With that, well, here's the thing. The Dark Ether is a complex place. It's a medieval-like place. Sword fights, kingdoms, individual kingdoms and stuff like that. It's all not united. There's individual elder gods and demons with different powers, different beings. The Apothegons were just a fraction of what happened, and both the Apothegon and Keepers were sent into there at the end of Black Ops 4. So with that, the rest of the beings had no idea that Earth existed except for the Apothegons. So once everything from all the other universes flooded into it, it was now known that there was another dimension. There was only one single dimension left, though. I'm not sure what number that dimension is. Don't even think there is, but there's just one dimension left. We saw Eddie and Samantha walk off at the end of Black Ops 4, but they didn't reappear until the 1960s. That explains why they didn't have influence over the world yet. So, after discovering humanity, the Elder Gods had influence over early places of humanity and started to mimic the different cultures, except for Cortifex, who stuck to pyramids on a stick. A bunch of these demons were seen as Elder Gods by early humans and were very important to their culture. Sometime in ancient times, Invictor made a covenant with the hero Achilles and grants him his sword, which helps him in the siege of Troy, and their two legends become inseparable, and their bond forever connected. Some people think Invictor is literally the soul of Achilles himself, which of course is not true. Invictor is, a demon/elder god. And Syraxis also took an interest in the Japanese people, and is believed to be Kitsune, a mischievous fox spirit. Norticus is believed to be Ymir, the father of the frost giants. Belikar appeared to the ancient Maya of Central America, and Cortifex is worshipped by the ancient Egyptians, and is believed to be Osiris, the god of death and resurrection. Sometime in medieval times, the Society Occult is created. They are a group of rich and powerful people who know of the Dark Ether, and who use this magic to gain power throughout history. They wrote all their rune magic into a book known as the Tomb of Rituals in order to enhance the abilities of the Dark Ether artifacts. They used to meet up constantly in their ever-changing hideouts, but one day this all changes when an artifact and Freemason named Lucien Porit constructed the Hotel Royale in Paris and built it on top of catacombs lined with bodies in the shape of a large Dark Ether rune. In the late 1800s, the Elder Gods lost their connection to Earth, and sometime in the 1920s, something so bad happens that it shakes the Society Occult and makes it so that the Tomb of Rituals is split into individual places, and each member takes a page into hiding. On March 12th, 1938, Germany annexes Austria. In 1939, or sometime in 1939, Von List arrives unannounced at Leipzig University, Germany, and forces a professor of demonology, Gabriel Kraft, to work for him by killing his assistant and threatening to kill his wife. On September 1st, 1939, Germany invades Poland, starting World War II. In August of 1941, in Tobruk, Lucas Riggs, Des Wellmont, Bluey Smith, Robert Jacobs, and Major Henry Hams tried to ambush Nazis and steal their supplies. However, Henry Hams ends up pressing the detonator too early, not so that they can't blow up one of the tanks and stop it at its tracks. Instead, an all-out gunfight ensues. They blow up their supplies, and instead, Lucas Riggs, Des Wellmont, and Robert Jacobs go around and gather intelligence from 3 Nazi bases. They don't do this quietly or stealthy, though. They instead, all 3 of them go and blow up 3 Nazi bases, and also learn something about Rommel, a high-ranking Nazi officer. They also shoot a fucking Stuka out of the sky by using assault rifles and submachine guns. They don't use any large weapons. They just use literally just submachine guns and assault rifles, which is the most unrealistic thing ever. But I mean, it's Call of Duty Vanguard, so you know, that's basically what the whole premise of the game is. Unrealistic. On December 7th, 1941, Japan attacks Pearl Harbor, which brings the United States into World War II. In 1942, between June 4th and June 7th, takes place the Battle of Midway. Mateo Hernandez and Wade Jackson get into a little fuss about Wade naming their plane. After this, they take off into the sky and link up with their squad. After this, they fight off a whole bunch of Japanese fighter pilots and blow up 2 Japanese aircraft carriers. They are later known as the Heroes of Midway. On July 17th, 1942, Polina Petrova and her father and brother are hanging out, and her brother forgets his supplies, so she has to bring his supplies to him. After this, she runs off to where she's supposed to be stationed at, which is the med tent. However, things go sideways, and the Nazis attack, which begins the Battle of Stalingrad. Polina Petrova is knocked out by a plank of wood, and reawakens with the Nazis occupying her area of Stalingrad. So she then kills a bunch of Nazis, and then goes to try and rescue her father. Her father's killed, so she decides to go and rescue her brother. She does this successfully, frees her brother and a bunch of other survivors. She then leads them to a bunker underground, and they all make their escape there. On August 17th, 1942, Private Miller is captured. However, Sullivan and Roebuck get to him and rescue him. After this, they blow up the Japanese base and escape. On September 15th, 1942, low resistance begins. Roebuck, Sullivan, and Private Miller attack the island of Peleliu in Japan and push into it. They do this successfully. However, Sullivan is killed. That same day, hard landing begins. Polanski, Roebuck, and Private Miller are pushing further into Peleliu, and their plan is to stop the Japanese from using their AA guns to shoot down their planes. So, they attack the airfield, take the airfield over, and stop the Japanese from using their AA guns. And they do this successfully. And a few hours later, burn 'em out begins. Roebuck, Polanski, and Private Miller push further into Peleliu, and this time their mission is to burn out Japanese foxholes. So that's what they do. 2 days later, on September 17th, 1942, Dmitry Petrenko and Reznov cheat death at a fountain where a massive massacre has happened. They sneak their way around Stalingrad, sniping Nazis wherever they go. However, they are spotted, and luckily they get out of the building right before it blows up. However, the Nazis come over and rough them up a little. However, they are also then saved by the rest of their squad, and they then have a massive attack on the Nazis. Sadly, most of the Russians there are killed, except for Reznov and Dmitry Petrenko. But with the Nazis being distracted, Reznov and Dmitry Petrenko take out General Amzau, and then dive into a nearby river, escaping from the Nazis. Sometime in October of 1942, the Battle of El Aman begins in Africa. Des Wellmont, Robert Jacobs, Major Henry Hams, and of course Lucas Riggs have a massive assault on the Nazis, and Lucas Riggs and Des Wellmont have a massive holdout. However, Des Wellmont is killed. Infuriated, Lucas Riggs goes up and knocks Henry Hams the fuck out. Literally, fucking RKO's that motherfucker. And with this, he is imprisoned. In January of 1943, Polina Petrova, now known as Lady Nightingale, go on a mission to kill Steiner with her brother, Mishka. However, this doesn't go so well, and Mishka is fatally wounded. So he sacrifices himself with a grenade, blowing the tunnels up so that the Nazis couldn't follow Polina through the tunnels and capture her. However, this makes her even more pissed since, you know, Mishka's dead, and she goes on demon time and kills a bunch of Nazis as usual, and this time she beats the living shit out of Steiner before kicking him off the edge of a fucking building, killing him. This is also where she grabs documents learning about Project Phoenix and about Freisinger. Sometime in 1943, Wade Jackson and Mateo Hernandez are shot down in a fight in the air, of course. They're shot down, the plane crashes. Luckily, they both survive. Wade Jackson is wounded a lot, so yeah, he just lays down for hours covered in palm leaves while Mateo Hernandez goes to get help. Wade later wakes up and then goes to search for Mateo. However, they are both captured. Luckily, the 93rd Division Infantry saves their ass, and then they go and get a Japanese fighter pilot and mow down the rest of the Japanese, saving the rest of the 93rd Division. In late 1943, Kurt Dember, a nuclear scientist, finds all the greatest minds in Germany and forms a new nuclear project known as End Station. On the night before D-Day, Richard Webb, Arthur Kingsley, and a bunch of other troops drop behind enemy lines. A lot of them are killed in the process by German soldiers. However, a lot of them end up surviving and linking up. Those who survived composed their attack the next day behind enemy lines to destroy the artillery cannons, so that Operation D-Day will be a success. So that's what they do. They go and destroy the artillery cannons and shoot their flare up to signal the Allies to stop shooting at them. June 6, 1944, Operation D-Day. Zussman, Daniels, Pearson, Stiles, Elio, and Turner storm the beaches of Normandy with a bunch of other troops. They successfully take the beaches and clear out the bunkers. However, a lot of lives are lost in the process, and Zussman almost loses his life by being stabbed. Luckily, Daniels drags Zussman over to the med tent before he bleeds out, so he can get first aid. July 25th, 1944, Daniels and the rest of his squad and division are just riding on tanks when all of a sudden they're ambushed by Stukas. With this, they're forced to run on foot to where the Nazis' AA guns are. They take out the Nazis, and using the Nazis' own AA guns, they take out their Stukas. After taking out the Stukas, they take some of their automobiles and drive over to the next town over, full of Nazis. They kill all the Nazis there and then spend the night there before heading off to the next mission. July 26, 1944, Stronghold. Daniels and the rest of his squad and platoon attack a Nazi-occupied town, and they're here to destroy the AA guns so that their planes through. So they do this. Zussman goes to destroy the guns. Meanwhile, Daniel, Pearson, and Stiles protect Zussman and Elio by being his support and sniping Nazis from atop the clock tower. However, the clock tower is also hit, and one of the soldiers isn't lucky when they try to get out of there. However, Stiles, Pearson, and Daniels luckily make it out before the thing crashes on the ground. And on the ground, they're there to protect Zussman, and luckily they do that. They protect him and Elio, and they end up getting back, and the AA guns are destroyed, and their planes now can get through. August 20th, 1944, Daniels and the rest of his squad and platoon go and attack a Nazi train station. They do this successfully, and however, they cause a massive train crash, and the Nazis are all alerted to their position. Luckily, before Daniel and Zussman are killed, a French lady who's part of the resistance finds them and helps them get away. August 25th, 1944, Liberation. Daniels and the rest of the squad await the signal of the lady who saved them. That lady is infiltrating a Nazi headquarters in France to blow up the place. And blowing up the thing is the signal, so that's what she does. She blows up the place, and that's the signal for the Americans to liberate Paris. And yeah, Paris is finally liberated from the Nazis. Relentless, September 16th, 1944. Private Miller, Roebuck, Polanski, and the rest of their platoon have to fight through a relentless division of Japanese soldiers to blow up artillery guns so that their ships and boats can get through. And with this, they can occupy the entire island of Peleliu. October 18th, 1944, collateral damage. Daniels and the rest of his squad and platoon are out pushing further into Nazi-occupied Europe, when all of a sudden they are downed and in need of some support. So they have to call one of their buddies in tanks. So he has to go and destroy two Nazi tanks and come and rescue them. That's what he does. Then after this, when they keep pushing further into, they come across a hotel, and they go into the basement and actually find surviving Germans there, civilians. So they get those civilians out. However, one of them ends up getting killed, and Daniels and the rest of their squad just leave the civilians to drive off by themselves. On November 14th, 1944, Death Factory takes place. Daniels and the rest of his squad and platoon are forced to defend a bridge, and then after this they push further into Europe. However, Daniels is separated by his squad by bombings, and most of his squad and platoon that he's around dies, except for him. So he has to fight his way through a forest and link up with Turner. After this, they're forced to take out a sniper, and then they link up with the rest of their squad and platoon, and they have to defend this tiny little village. A few hours later, Hill 493 takes place. Daniels and the rest of his squad and platoon are pushing up a Nazi-defended hill, and the Nazis are mowing them all down with turrets. So once they finally blow up the wall and push through, Turner is pissed at Pearson because a lot of the lives are lost. So after this, they push into the trenches when all of a sudden the Nazis bring out a tank, which Daniels is forced to destroy with a thermite. And after this, an all-out gunfight ensues when there are a lot more German reinforcements. Because there are a lot more German reinforcements, Turner ends up getting hit. However, he's still able to stand up and shoot his weapon perfectly fine, even though he's bleeding out. So Turner has everyone leave, and he sacrifices his own life to save everyone else's. And I must say, even though this game's from 2017, the graphics still hold up amazingly in this scene. These still are some of the best graphics ever. A few hours later, on November 15th, 1944, after the death of Turner, Pearson makes Daniel his second in command. Sometime in November of 1944, Butcher and his crew crash land in the Pacific Theater on an island and find a secret Nazi bunker on the island. Sometime between late November and early December of 1944, Project Endstation breaches the dimensional veil, which activates all the artifacts which are unfortunately in the possession of SS Oberfuhrer Wolfram von List, who is the great uncle of Jaeger. On Christmas Day 1944, Daniels and the rest of his squad and platoon take part in Battle of the Bulge. If you don't know what that is, go back to your history books. Anyways, yeah. So, a massive bulge in the Nazi front line. So, they're having to push through this. So, after they have a little skirmish on ground, an all-out battle ensues when there are a lot more tanks and enemy reinforcements. As this is happening, there is a battle in the sky going on between Allied planes and Stukas. So, after the Allies destroy all the Stukas, they come down to save Daniel's squad and platoon just at the last second. Any second sooner and they would all be dead. On December 26, 1944, as they're transporting captured Nazis, one of them tries to escape when they end up catching up to him and fucking knock his ass over. And then after this, they search his body and discover plans to destroy the bridge in Remagen, which is the last bridge to the River Rhine. After this, they set a course to a different destination, which is the bridge in Remagen, so that they can finally cross the River Rhine. December 27th, 1944, Daniels and the rest of his squad and their new mechanic Howard ambush and attack a Nazi communications base. However, Zussman ends up getting captured in the process, and Daniel disobeys a direct order and goes after Zussman, trying to rescue him. However, this doesn't go successfully. His car ends up getting flipped over and crashes. Pearson comes over and threatens to shoot Daniel, and has the intent to. However, Styles and Elio come over just before Pearson can shoot him. And yeah, Pearson is from now on pissed at Daniels. And 12 hours later, Zussman is loaded onto a train, and that is going to a Nazi labor camp. On February 3rd, 1945, the Soviets find Project End Station completely abandoned, but filled with zombies. So, after they fight off most of the zombies, they send Zykov in to destroy the reactor. And on March 3rd, 1945, Daniels is given an honorable discharge because he accelerated the army effort by getting the crucial piece of intel about the last bridge across the River Rhine. On March 7th, 1945, Daniels gives up his honorable discharge and instead goes along with his friends and squad and battalion and attack the bridge near Remagen. And, well, yeah, they successfully take the bridge and are able to cross the River Rhine. April 3rd, 1945, Black Cats. A crew known as Black Cats defend a bunch of U.S. Navy ships from attacking Japanese. However, it doesn't go so well. Instead, they have to land near the water and rescue survivors, while also destroying PT boats. April 4th, Epilogue. Daniels and his squad go to the abandoned Nazi concentration camp where Zussman was held at, looking for him. They find a bunch of dead bodies and are starting to run out of hope. However, they then go into the forest. Daniels hears Zussman and then goes running into the forest. He finds a Nazi trying to kill Zussman. However, he ends up killing the Nazi instead and is able to rescue his best friend Zussman.
Du hättest wieder tot bleiben sollen!
Dmitri, finish those rats! Once again, you cheat death. Our tanks are ready to smash this line, and... Chernov! I'm not hearing gunshots!
There is no point, Sergeant. They are already bleeding to death.
Then maybe our friend will help them bleed faster. For the wheat fields! There will be no escape! Shoot! Did you shoot him in the back?
April 18th, 1945. Reznov and the Red Army push further into Sela Heights and push further into Nazi Germany, while also committing a fuck ton of war crimes. April 19th, 1945. Blood and Iron. Reznov and the Red Army storm more, push further into Nazi Germany, and this time they're using tanks. They're pushing towards a train station so that they can take the train to Berlin. So that's what they do. They take tanks, destroy a bunch of other German tanks, then go to the train station and take the train all the way to Berlin.
Dmitri Petrenko! I saw this man cheat death, time after time at the siege of Stalingrad. As long as he lives, the heart of this army cannot be broken. He makes us all proud.
April 20th, 1945. Novak, Wade Jackson, Lucas Riggs, Arthur Kingsley, Richard Webb, and Polina Petrova hijack a Nazi train, kill most of the Nazis on board, and then stop at a Nazi facility. With this Nazi facility, they gain secret Nazi intelligence about Project Phoenix. However, before they are able to collect more intelligence and escape, they get captured. Novak is killed by getting beat to death with a fucking chair, and after that, Task Force Vanguard is now imprisoned. On April 23rd, 1945, Reznov and the rest of the Red Army get off the train, bomb the shit out of Berlin, attack Berlin, commit a lot of fucking war crimes, And of course,
The citizens of Berlin, every obstacle around your rotten city. We will crush all who dare to resist the will of the Red Army. Abandon your cause. Abandon your home. Abandon all hope. Hurrah! You do not deserve mercy. Wait. You may help us. Die for us. Muda!
This is not war. This is murder.
This is how you end a war, Chernov!
April 24th, 1945. Reznov and everyone else in the Red Army bombs the shit out of Berlin and attack the city, killing all the Germans in sight and pushing ever closer to the Reichstag. They also committed a lot of war crimes on the way. However, a rocket strike is a bit too close and they're forced against the metro to avoid being hit. After that, they fight in the metro and the Nazis are forced to flood the metro to try and drown all the Russians. But this does little to prevent Dmitri and Reznov from getting their revenge. On April 30th, 1945, after the attempted drowning on April 24th, they get out of the sewers finally. And, well, yeah, they're pissed. So after they push on with their attack towards the Reichstag, committing a lot of numerous war crimes along the way. However, Chernov gets torched to death by a German soldier with a flamethrower, and this makes Reznov pretty sad, but also pissed off as well. So they storm into the Reichstag a lot more heated than they once were. I mean, Chernov was a friend to Reznov for a few years, so of course he's going to be heated. Right after this attack, Adolf Hitler commits suicide, and Reznov wants to make sure that people read Chernov's diary in the future, which of course, doesn't happen because of the events in Black Ops 1. Right after going inside, downfall takes place. Reznov and Dmitri Petrenko and the rest of the Red Army storm the Reichstag, killing all the Germans inside and planting the Soviet flag atop the Reichstag.
Claim of victory!
You can make it, my friend. You always survive.
The honor should be yours.
As long as you live, the heart of this army can never be broken.
Things will change, my friend. As heroes, we will return to Russia's embrace.
Later at night on this day, Task Force Vanguard hunt down Freisinger, tackle him, burn his ass alive, then escape in a plane with a crapload of Nazi documents. And this plane also has a bunch of documents about Project Ether and Project Nova. When all the Soviets are distracted fighting the Germans in Germany, in Stalingrad, portals open up to the dark ether and a bunch of zombies come through and are, a bunch of zombies are resurrected by Von List. And Daniel Kraft has had enough of this, and he reaches out to the Allies to help rescue him. When entering Stalingrad, the Allies are trapped, so they decide to make covenants with the rest of the Elder Gods to try and take down Kortifex and Von List. May 14th, 1945, Blowtorch and Corkscrew, Roebuck, Polonsky, and Private Miller storm the island of Okinawa and destroy 3 bunkers.
Everything that was asked of us, we've done. Every night, we lay in a filthy foxhole praying the enemy won't slit our throats. Every day we've spent crawling through the mud and the dirt where our bullets whistle all around. But this is the last time we're going to have to put our lives on the line. This is the enemy's last stand. When we take Shuri Castle, we go home.
May 29th, 1945. Breaking points. Polanski, Roebuck, and Private Miller storm Shuri Castle on Okinawa and try to take it over. They do this successfully for the most part, until this part here where 3 Japanese soldiers were surrendering, but they're actually planning on blowing themselves up. So they end up blowing up Polanski, and this makes Roebuck saddened because he just lost another man. So in their final mission, they blow up most of Shuri Castle and kill all the enemy reinforcements. And then with this mission, they end up going home. On August 6th, 1945. Hiroshima has the Little Boy bomb dropped on it, and on August 9th, 1945, Nagasaki has the Fat Man nuclear bomb dropped on it. And on September 2nd, 1945, World War II ends with Japan surrendering. Sometime in 1946, Butcher and his crew infiltrate Switzerland, and in the Alps they find a secret Nazi bunker. In this bunker, they find a mysterious gas called Nebula 5, and in a desperate attempt, the Nazis unleash this gas to kill them. However, this gas does very little to Butcher's crew because they get the frick out of there immediately. However, mostly German soldiers are killed. This gas is basically what Nova 6 is, but worse. Because after a few minutes of being killed by this gas also brings you back to life as a zombie. So yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed part 1. I'm going to be making part 2 very, very soon. Yeah. So part 2 is going to consist of Black Ops 1, Cold War, and some parts of Black Ops 2 and other things. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of work, just like this one. I spent a lot of hours making this video, recording gameplay, getting all that information and stuff. Yeah, I spent a lot of time on this video. It'd be really helpful if you guys subscribed, well, liked, then subscribe, then turn on the notification bell, so you never miss an upload. So yeah, just do all that, like, subscribe, turn on that notification bell, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.